my name is Jenna. I'm 24 now, but this started when I was 19. I had just moved to a small college town in northern Oregon. I was living in a cheap one-bedroom apartment above a bookstore downtown, working part-time at a local coffee shop and trying to get through my second year of school. I wasn't on social media much, just Instagram, where I posted once in a while, mostly coffee pics, sunsets, study nooks, the usual. Then one day I got a message. No profile photo, no posts, just a username made up of random letters and numbers. You looked tired today. Hope your shift wasn't too hard. I laughed it off, figured it was someone from school messing around. But the next message came the following week. Red sweater looks good on you. I had worn that sweater the night before for a late walk to the store. That's when I started to worry. And I should have listened to that feeling, because whoever this person was, they weren't just watching me online. They were watching me in real life. I blocked the account, deleted the app for a few days, tried to forget about it. But then the notes started. Little pieces of paper slid under my door while I was in the shower, or left on my windshield in handwriting that was always different, like someone was trying to disguise it. You shouldn't walk alone at night. I love how you hum when you make tea. You looked right at me today. Did you feel it too? I went to the police. They were sympathetic but couldn't do much. It's probably someone from school, the officer said. Keep your doors locked. Let us know if anything escalates. Escalates? Like that word was supposed to comfort me. I told my manager at the coffee shop. He started walking me to my car after night shifts. But the messages didn't stop. They got worse. One night, I came home to find my apartment door unlocked. Nothing was missing, but the shower curtain was pulled closed. I never leave it that way. And written on the mirror in black marker was, "I like your shampoo." I moved in with a friend the next day, but it didn't matter, because the next note, left in my backpack, said, "This place isn't as cozy as your last one, but I like the blue sheets." Only the bedroom had blue sheets. A week later, I got a text from an unknown number. "You're making this difficult." That was it. Just 5 words. But I couldn't breathe after reading them. He wasn't just watching me anymore. He was getting angry. I changed my number, deleted every social app, quit my job, dropped my classes. But none of it worked. Notes still showed up. New numbers still texted. I stopped leaving the apartment altogether. I was terrified. One night, after barely sleeping for days, I decided to do something reckless. I messaged the first fake account that ever contacted me, the one I had blocked months earlier. It was active again, and I sent, "What do you want?" Seconds later, "To talk, face to face. You owe me that." I didn't answer, but he sent an address. It was for an abandoned train depot just outside town, one of those places high schoolers used to party and spray paint walls. Then, "Come alone. I'll know if you don't." My friend begged me not to go, but I needed this to end. I needed a face, a name, proof. So I went. I wore a hoodie, carried pepper spray and a pocket knife. I got there just after sunset. The depot was silent, broken windows, peeling metal siding, wind howling through the rafters like something breathing just out of view. I stepped inside. There were no lights, just the faint glow of my phone screen. I texted, "I'm here." No response. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Behind me. I turned. No one. Then again from the left, and then from the right. Multiple sets. I backed against a wall, holding up my phone like it could protect me. Then the flashlight blinked on, and he was standing 10 feet in front of me. Ordinary looking, mid-30s. Shaggy hair, hoodie, pale eyes. He smiled. "Took you long enough." I stood frozen. He wasn't holding a weapon, wasn't yelling. He just looked satisfied. Like meeting me was the final piece of a long game he'd been playing for years. "You always walk past me," he said. "On your way to class, at the store, you never notice. Not even when I sat behind you in that cafe for hours." My stomach twisted. He'd been close. So many times. "I memorized your schedule after the second week," he went on. "The way you pause at crosswalks, how you always double-check your bag before leaving. You're a creature of habit." He took a step forward. I raised the pepper spray. My hand shook, but I didn't back down. "Why are you doing this?" I managed to say. His smile faded. "Because you're the only person who ever looked happy. And people like you, people who glow like that, don't get to ignore the ones who live in the dark." That's when I realized he didn't think he was doing anything wrong. He thought we had a relationship. I hit the spray. He screamed, dropped to his knees, and I ran. I didn't stop. Not when I reached the road. Not when I flagged down a passing truck. Not when I finally got to the police station crying and gasping for breath. They arrested him 2 hours later. Turns out, his name was Matthew Cole. He had a history of harassment complaints in other towns, but never enough for real charges. He drifted, found new obsessions, disappeared again. This time he'd left enough evidence, the notes, the phone number, security footage, to put him away. I moved across the country, started fresh. New name, new number. But some nights, I still wake up to the sound of paper sliding across the floor. And for a second, my heart stops, because I think I'll find another note, another message, another reminder that monsters don't need masks. They just need time. My name is April. In 2022, I rented a small studio apartment in an old brownstone building in Milwaukee. It wasn't glamorous, slanted floors, peeling paint, noisy radiator, but it was affordable and quiet. Or so I thought. It started with the phone calls, always late at night, always from an unknown number. The first time it happened, I was half asleep. I answered groggily and said hello. There was nothing on the other end. No static, no breathing, just dead silence. I hung up and went back to bed. But then it happened again the next night. And the next. And the next. No voice, no sound, just the feeling that someone was there, listening. I tried blocking the number, but the calls would come from another. Then another. Always a different sequence, always after 2 a.m. Eventually, I stopped answering, but that didn't stop the calls. And I swear. After the second week, I began hearing the same kind of clicking inside my apartment, behind the walls, just after the phone would ring, like something was moving inside. The noises got worse. At first, I thought it was just the old building settling. Pipes, rats, maybe even raccoons. But these weren't random scuttles. They were patterned, deliberate, scraping, pausing, then scraping again. One night, I pressed my ear to the wall just after a call ended, and I heard breathing. Shallow, slow, right behind the drywall. I backed away and didn't sleep that night. I told my landlord the next morning. He brushed it off, said the walls were too thin, and I was probably hearing the neighbors. But I knew what I heard, because I didn't have neighbors on that side. That wall faced an unused utility shaft, a vertical crawl space that ran through the building, closed off decades ago. At least it was supposed to be. So I started testing it. Whenever the phone rang at night, I'd hang up and wait, stand still, listen. And the same thing would happen every time. Click, shuffle. Then, silence. But I wasn't alone. I began finding things slightly out of place. Drawers left open that I swore I closed. My toothbrush damp before I'd even used it. Footprints in the dust near the radiator. I bought a motion-sensing camera and aimed it at the wall. That night, I left it recording and pretended to sleep. 2:17 a.m. The phone rang. I ignored it. 2:20 a.m. The motion alert went off. I waited until sunrise before checking the footage. At first it was just static. Then, from behind the radiator, a panel slid open, and a hand reached out. Thin, pale, fingers trembling as they gripped the edge of my floor. Then a face, wide-eyed, filthy, and staring straight at the camera. He didn't climb out. He just stared for almost a full minute. Then slowly, quietly, the panel slid shut again. I went to the police with the footage. They didn't laugh, didn't tell me it was just an animal. An officer came with me that same day to inspect the apartment. But by the time we got there, the panel was gone. The wall looked completely sealed. No hinges, no gaps, nothing. Like it had always been that way. The officer said they'd look into it and suggested I stay elsewhere for a few days. I packed a bag and moved in with my coworker Kelsey. She insisted I shouldn't go back alone, but something in me needed closure. So 2 nights later, when Kelsey had a late shift, I went back. This time, I brought a crowbar. I moved the radiator. I tapped along the wall until I found the hollow spot again, slightly off tone when you knocked. I jammed the crowbar into the seam and pulled hard. The panel popped open with a dry crack. What I saw behind it nearly made me scream. A tunnel, narrow, dark, and lined with blankets, food wrappers, and drawings taped to the inside of the drywall. Drawings of me, sleeping, showering, sitting on the couch, thousands of lines, sketches, crude but obsessed. Some of them were new, some looked years old. I stepped back, heart pounding, trying not to panic, and then I heard it, behind me. A voice, low, raspy. "You weren't supposed to open that." I turned. He was standing in the hallway, the same face from the camera, gaunt, wild-eyed, wearing clothes at least 2 sizes too small. His fingernails were black with grime. His smile, slow, deliberate, stretched across his face like it hurt to make. He held something in his hand, a knife, not raised, just there. Like a warning. I froze, but in my other hand, I still had the crowbar. When he took 1 step toward me, I swung, hard. The crowbar connected with his shoulder, and he let out a shriek, not of pain, but rage. He lunged. I dodged and swung again, this time catching him in the ribs. He dropped the knife and fell to the floor, gasping and snarling like an animal. I ran. Down the stairs, out into the street, screaming for help. A neighbor heard me and called the cops. By the time they arrived, he was gone. But this time, they took me seriously. They searched the crawl space and found it. A network of passages running behind multiple units. He had carved out nests behind other apartments. Bedding, trash. Even a stolen photo ID from a woman who used to live in the building. She'd gone missing 2 years ago. The cops tracked him down a week later, hiding in an abandoned storm drain across town. His name was Travis Merton. No criminal record, no job history, no next of kin. But he had a journal, dozens of pages describing me, what I wore, what time I got home, what I said on the phone, what I did when I thought I was alone. And most chilling of all, she's different. She saw me. I think she knows. They said he'd probably been living in the walls for months, maybe longer. They found evidence suggesting he'd done this before in other towns, always in old buildings, always to women who lived alone. No one knows how many. After the trial, I moved across the country. I still check every vent, every crack in the wall. I sleep with a camera pointed at my bedroom door, and sometimes, late at night, my phone rings once. No caller ID, no voicemail, just silence. I don't answer anymore, because I know now. Sometimes the stalker doesn't want to hurt you. He just wants to live with you, forever. My name's Daniel. I'm a freelance photographer and travel blogger. For the last 5 years, I've made a living bouncing around cities across the US, taking photos of interesting architecture, urban life, hidden corners, the beauty in the everyday. I'd post a few pictures every couple of days, nothing viral, just enough to keep the page growing. Then one night in 2023, I got a message from a follower. "Hey, who's the guy in the background? He's in like all your shots." I didn't know what they meant. So I looked back. A photo of a street mural in Boston, a man on the opposite sidewalk staring at the camera. A wide shot of a beach market in Miami. The same man, face slightly turned, watching. Another photo from Chicago. There he was again. Blurry, but definitely him. Same dark coat. Same pale face. Same unreadable stare. It wasn't just creepy. It was impossible. These photos were taken months apart, thousands of miles away. I zoomed in on every image. Same man, always just far enough to go unnoticed, until you looked for him. I spent the entire night digging through my archive. From Portland to Atlanta, New York to Denver. The same man appeared again and again, sometimes in crowds, sometimes almost hidden, but always there, always watching. I ran facial recognition on a few clear shots. Nothing. No ID matches, no social profiles, no hits on reverse image search. I posted a story asking if anyone knew who he was. The response was massive, but not helpful. Most people thought it was a prank. One guy messaged me and said, "He used to be in my photos too, years ago, but I deleted them all." That stuck with me. A few days later, I took a job shooting a small wedding in a mountain town up in Colorado. I figured I needed the distraction. I didn't post my location. I didn't tag anyone. The shoot went well. Beautiful scenery. Quiet couple. Perfect day. But when I went to edit the files that night, he was there, in a wide shot of the reception, at the edge of the woods, half hidden behind a tree. That same dark coat, that same pale face. I zoomed in. He was smiling. Not a big smile, just a small, crooked one, like he was glad I noticed. I didn't sleep. I canceled my next job and got in my car at 3 a.m. I drove east with no destination, just away. But at a gas station in Kansas, while filling up, I turned around, and he was across the street, just standing there. No expression, no movement, like he wanted me to see him now. I froze at the gas pump. He didn't move, didn't approach, just stood across the street, under the glow of a flickering street lamp, his face half in shadow. I raised my phone to take a photo. He smiled wider, and then turned, and disappeared behind the gas station convenience store. I ran after him, ignoring the stares from the clerk inside. But when I rounded the corner, he was gone. No cars, no alley, just open fields behind the building. I stood there, shaking, until the sun started to rise. Back in my motel room, I reviewed the photo I took, but he wasn't in it. Nothing was. Not even the spot where he'd stood. Just the empty sidewalk and the light above. I checked the earlier wedding photo again. This time he was missing from that too. Gone, like he'd never been there, like he'd let me see him, and now he was taking it back. I searched online again, this time on the dark web, forums for paranormal photography, digital anomalies. That's where I found a thread. The man in the frame. Hundreds of posts, all the same story. He starts in the background. He gets closer. Then one day, he's not in the photo anymore, because he's behind the camera. After reading that thread, I destroyed my hard drives. I deleted every photo, every backup, every cloud account. But I knew it didn't matter. He was already closer than any image. That night, I unplugged everything. No phone, no Wi-Fi. I even taped over the camera on my laptop. I tried to sleep. But at 3:12 a.m., I woke up suddenly, heart racing. I hadn't heard anything, but something was off. The air felt heavy, like the room was full of static. And then I saw it. On the nightstand, My phone. Turned on. Camera app open. A fresh photo had just been taken. I hadn't used it in 2 days. Hands shaking, I opened the gallery. Just one photo. A blurry, low-angle shot of me, sleeping. The timestamp read 3:11 a.m. I dropped the phone and ran to the door. Locked. Windows? Locked. But something was still in the room. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I left the motel without checking out. Drove until the tank was dry. Took back roads, avoided cities. I've been off the grid ever since. I don't use cameras anymore. No social media. No selfies. No mirrors if I can help it. Because sometimes, when the lighting is right, when the shadows line up just right behind me, I see him again. Not in the background, not across the street, but in the reflection, right behind me, smiling.